What's up, guys? Pelican here, and I'm here with the four best four best Master Duel decks for the normal rare event. Real quick, just to help you guys out, because it kind of made me struggle while I was trying to build all these decks. So if you guys want to get your normal rare, and really any of the kind of dust or whatever you want to call it, points, real quick. So you're going to go to top right. You can dismantle all extra cards, which is a really helpful tool, especially if you open a lot of packs. I don't, because I'm poor, so I only use gems. So you want to go to dismantle selected cards, and you just kind of want to filter it. So I have right now the normal filter on, so it will only show me normal cards and the normal cards that you can dismantle. So you can kind of run through them real quick, see which ones you want to keep and things like that. And I did that for just the normals and rares, and I'm not even finished with the normals and rares. I just wanted to stop because I didn't feel like keep going. But if you want to build a bunch of decks, this is the easiest way to do it. I did it, and now you guys know, and you can't say I didn't tell you, so suck it. But as I was saying, so 4 decks, all of them are great. These ones will guarantee you wins. First one is gadgets. So if you're not familiar, gadgets are kind of old. We got green, red, and yellow. They all search each other, which makes it easier, and they're on normal or special summon. Then we got silver and gold gadgets. So a silver and gold gadget do, they both basically have the same exact effect, which is when for one, when it's normal or special summon, you can special summon a machine from your hand that's level 4. So you can summon the gadgets and then get a free plus. You can summon a different gadget, like for example, gold summon silver, silver summon green, and you can trigger these guys. The best part about these is if you really have a shitty hand, you can like set this gold gadget past, they beat over it, and you can summon red gadget, which will then search yellow, and then so on. So you'll always have reoccurring resources, which is why I do like it. Then we play the Infinitrack Anchor Drill. So he's normal or special summon. You can special summon one Earth Machine from your hand in defense. So you just basically summon any of these boys. Yeah, and then he has a second effect where you can target one other machine you control. The levels of both that monster and this card become the combined level 2, which is why I play this 8 package. We go 8, 9, 8, 10, etc. And just gives you more utility and just easier things to kill your opponent with. I couldn't really find any more rank 4s or link 2s or anything like that was worth playing, so I felt like this would be a really good engine. Plus, he's just another free normal and special summon. Then we're playing triple MST because everyone and their mother's going to be running back row for this kind of event, and you kind of need it just to really play around it, as you can see, and you're going to see it in my other decks too. And you're going to play Chalice. Chalice is just generic negation for anything, and that's just something you're probably going to need throughout this entire event, and I recommend playing a set of probably MST and Chalice if you have it. If not, I just showed you how to get it. Then you have triple Torrential Tribute. This is going to be another staple you're probably going to want to play. This card's crazy, blows up the whole board, and it doesn't even matter for you, because if you have one of these set, you just float into one of these and get free searches, and then you're able to make an XYZ for next turn. Then we have Triple Compulse. We're only playing one of the Book of Moon Paleo. It's Book of Moon. There's nothing else really to it. And then we have Triple Dynamiscus. It's a non-target, target banish one card, but you don't discard for cost, which is kind of cool. So if they negate it in any way, it doesn't matter. Really, now you got rid of a negate. And then we play EMR. So if you don't know what this card does, let me just read it. So tribute one machine monster, then target one card in the field for every 1,000 original attack of the tributed monster. So say, for example, you tribute this, you get to pop 2 cards. That's 2. That's too many. It's a really good card overall. Yeah, I just highly recommend it. Plus, what's it called? These guys giving you free resources, it never fucking matters. Then I'm playing Triple Oasis of the Dragon Lords. It usually doesn't matter if you bring them back to speak up. That's really it. Like, Call the Haunted was a super, so we opted in for this. It's just Reborn. So, and then they also get you other cards, which is kind of cool. And from the extra deck, a lot of this event will be utility. You're going to see a lot of XYZ decks, and probably a good amount of control decks too. So first one we have is Photon Pap. I'm not even going to say it. Photon Pappy. 2 level 4s, and then you can detach one XYZ material from this card. Target defense position monster in the field changes to attack, and it loses 600. Then we have one Black Ship of Corn, number 50. You can detach one XYZ material from this card, then target a face-up monster your opponent controls with less attack than this card, and send it to the graveyard, then inflict 1,000. Easy damage. This is one of the cards you definitely don't need to play. I put it in just because he's not that bad, but he's not that good either. He's definitely not my favorite card, but he just blows up all other monsters on the board and then lets you punch in the face. Then we have Rhapsody and Berserk. You're really going to make this guy if you have the extra. You're just trying to really go for lethal. But if you don't know what he does, you can target a face-up monster, XYZ monster you control, equip this monster, to that target, and then it gains 1200 attack. And then you can detach one XYZ material from this card and target one card in the opponent's graveyard and banish it. And that's not once per turn. So you can detach both XYZ materials, banish 2 cards, and then proceed to equip him to another XYZ. Then we have 2 Diamond Crab Kings. He's like just a big, strong 3000 attack monster. So, and you're saying, oh, he has 0 attack. No, he doesn't. Because when you detach a material from this card, change this card defense to 0, and if you do, change its attack to 3000. And yeah, so these changes last until the end of the turn, and if it attacks, it goes to defense position at the end of the battle phase. And if it's attacked, change it to attack position at the end of the damage step if it has no XYZ materials. So basically you get 2 uses out of it to punch him for 3k. Plus it looks really cool. Then we have Gaga Samurai. Basically you detach a material, and target one Gaga you control can make a second attack during each battle phase. And then from there, basically a quick little combo you could do is you could equip Rhapsody and Berserk to him, and then he gains an extra 1200, he's at 31, then he can punch him twice in the face. Then we have Super Quantum guy. He can't attack unless he has an XYZ material, which does kind of suck, but that doesn't really fucking matter too much. Because you can distribute him with EMR later if you really want to, but you can detach an XYZ material from the card and target one other face-up monster on the field, change it to face-down defense position. And this effect can be activated during either player's turn, but we don't play the green layer, so it doesn't fucking matter. Then we play 2 of the Heavy Armor Train Iron Wolf. It took me years to find this fucking card. I had to use a filter. But basically, you can detach a material, then target one machine monster you control. It can attack directly. Also, other monsters cannot attack. And if he's destroyed in my possession by an opponent's battle or by card effect, you can add any level 4 machine monster from your deck. So you can add the gadgets. This guy doesn't fucking matter. But yeah, he just lets you punch face for game, especially same thing. If you have this guy on the board, you can make it target himself, and then he can attack directly for 3400, which is pretty good. They're playing 2 of this guy. He's definitely not bad either. So you can detach a material and target one monster your opponent controls and banish it to your opponent's next standby phase. And at the damage step, if this card attack, you can make it gain. Oops, I just punched a mic. You make it gain 300 attack, and if you do increase its rank by 3, really just gains the extra 300 attack, which is kind of cool, I guess. But yeah. Now we're playing Dragaloon, Dragalubian, and Heart Earth. Basically, so what's going to happen is if you control other monsters, you can detach one material, then activate one of these effects. That doesn't matter. And that doesn't matter. These don't matter. You're never going to use these, because, yeah. Unless you're going against Dragon, I guess it kind of works. You can take control of one of the dragons. But this is the one you're usually going to be summoning. Your opponent cannot target it with card effects, so Chalice. This doesn't work against, Can't Book a Mooned, all that cool stuff. You can detach one material from this card, take 2 dragon number monsters with different names from your extra deck and or graveyard, except himself. Special summon one of them and attach the other. So you can special summon this, attach this, or vice versa if you want to. But yeah, and this big guy, you can detach material from this card and negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent controls until the end of this turn, and they cannot negate that. And when a monster you control inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you gain life points equal to that. So you can summon this guy, or this guy, it doesn't matter. And that's it for the gadgets. Next, we're going to actually have Yosenju, which is another one of my favorite decks. If you're not familiar with the Yosenjus, they basically poke and run away. What I mean is they all share a common effect where if they're normal summoned, you can normal summon a Yosenju immediately, and they all bounce in the hand during the end phase if they were normal summoned that turn. But yeah, and they all share common random effects. So Yosenju Common 1 returns any face-up card on the field to the hand while your opponent controls. Any face-up card your opponent controls in hand, he attacks directly, but battle damage your opponent takes is half. His effect is when another Yosenju monster does battle damage, you get to search a Yosenju card, which is really cool. What this guy does is you can either discard him and that monster gains 1000 attack, or you can just target a monster and it gains 1000 attack, which is pretty good. That's why we're playing 3 of it. And then this guy, you can discard it, your opponent can activate cards when they're normal summoned or special summoned. And then if you control another Yosenju monster, you can draw a card. Then we're playing Kaijus. So what basically used to happen is, for one, none of these effects are once per card, or once per turn. So it's once per card. So for example, if I have I can go normal comma 1, summon comma 2, summon comma 1 again, and I'll have multiple bounces. So I can Kaiju them, do my Yosenju shit, summon comma 1, and then bounce a Kaiju, and then Kaiju them again just for fun. And then I can special summon my own Kaiju just for fun. Then we're playing, so we're playing Thunder King, we're playing Zakuru, and we're playing Godarla. So then next, onto the spells and traps, we're playing D-Fissure. This card is just good against any other deck. This literally doesn't affect this deck at all in any way, shape, or form. Triple Chalice, I guess that's staple. Triple Torrential, because you don't have a board during the end phase, which is a good thing. Triple Compulse, double Book of Moon in the form of Canadia. Triple Dynamiscus, because you're always going to have cards in. And triple Yosenju Sword Sting. Now this card is fucking crazy. And this card made me want to play Yosenju's one day, and I ended up topping at locals with it. So if you control no monsters, so you can't have the Kaijus on the board, unfortunately. But if you control no monsters, reveal up to 2 Yosenju monsters with different names, and target the same number of face-up cards your opponent controls and return them to hand. So basically what you want to do is you always want to search this card with Yosenju Common 3 if you can. Then you have a bunch of generic extra deck cards. Most of them are the same, except for playing a couple Link monsters. But most of them don't matter, because usually you're just going to be using Yosenju shit. And that's basically the main part of the deck. If you need to, you can use these, but most of the time the Yosenjus are going to be more than enough to beat your opponent. On to the next one is Metal Foe. So this is like the whole deck, as you can see, is like normal and rare. So if you're not familiar with the deck, basically all the Metal Foe pendulum effects kind of share the same thing, where they can target another face-up card you control, destroy it inside a Metal Foe spell or trap. So the deck is a fusion-based pendulum deck, which is really cool. The only one that's a little bit different is this guy. So if he's destroyed on the field by battle by card effect, you can add 1 Metal Foe's monster from your deck to your hand during the end phase, which is pretty good. So it helps you set up plays for their turn, or just for your turn in general, next turn. So basically you're going to be just setting up a big pendulum summon for the next turn, fusion summoning your boss monsters, such as Metal Foe's Mithrilium, where she lets you target 2 Metal Foe's cards in your graveyard and shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. And then when it's sent from field to grave, you can special summon a Metal Foe's pendulum monster from your extra deck, which is really good. Then we have Orichalc, where it makes all your Metal Foes do piercing, which is why I opted in to play 2 of it. And if it's sent from field to grave, like if you pop it, if you fuse with it, you can target a card on the field and destroy it, and that's on once per turn, which is really cool. This is just a fucking vanilla, so that doesn't matter. Then we have Vortex, which we use because we have 7s, which is Volflame, which is pretty easy to get out. So you're going to XYZ this, and then link it off with this and some other card. Summon something like Cross Sheep, Triple Burst, this guy if you want, anything. And then we have a lot of ways to like kind of keep the game going. So for the spell, basically, that's what all these guys do. So this guy does something as well. So if this card in the field is destroyed by card effect, you can add 1 face of Metal Foe's pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, but you can't activate the card with his name or place it in the pendulum zones for the rest of the turn, except by card effect. Now, once per turn, and then his pendulum effect is same shit. We have Triple Summoner's Art, adds a level 5 or higher vanilla monster, so this just directly searches Volflame, just to, be able to get him out as quick as possible. Then we have Para Metal Foe's Fusion, which is actually one of the new spells they got, it's crazy. So Fusion summons 1 Metal Foe's Fusion monster from your extra deck, using up to 1 from each from your hand, field, or face-up extra deck as fusion materials. So if you use the ones from your face-up extra deck as fusion materials, they do go to the grave, so keep that in mind. But it's just another fusion spell. We're playing triple MST, so it not only affects back row, but it does let you pop your own combination, which is a good thing, because combination, when it's sent from field to grave, it lets you add a Metal Foe's monster from your deck to your hand. We're then playing Triple Chalice, and then we're playing 1 full Metal Foe's Fusion, which is basically just an El Shaddoll fusion for the deck. If you don't know what El Shaddoll is, it's just a quick play fusion spell you can activate during either player's turn, which is nice. We're playing 2 Torrential Tribute. The good part is we also have this card, which is Metal Foe's Counter. We're playing 3 of it for a big reason. So if a card you control is destroyed by battle by card effect, you can special summon 1 Metal Foe's monster from your deck, during either player's turn, except the turn it was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card and add 1 Metal Foe's pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. Now going to the extra deck, I've already basically gone through most of them, but Oddest Vortex is an Omni Negate once per turn, and he bounces a special summoned attack position monster your opponent controls. Grand Pulse, he detaches a material, it'll pop a spell or trap on the field. You can pop this. One thing I did forget to go over is Balbaboon. So the reason why I play this is if he's normal or special, you get to draw 1 card, then place it at the top or bottom of your deck. And if he's destroyed by battle by card effect, you can special summon any number of them from your deck. Now they're not once per turn, and I'm sure you're thinking like, hey, why are we playing this card? Well, the reason is because we, like for example, place that in the scale, normal summon this, do the draw, put it back, pop it, set a card, then summon 2, and then draw 2 and put 2 back. So it effectively replaces itself. So from there you have choices. You can even make Grand Pulse, pop a combination. You just have, there's a bunch of things you can do. That's the great part. The Vortex, basically he negates attacks, but that doesn't matter. What you're really trying to do with this card is, if he sends a graveyard, you can special summon an Oddest monster from your extra deck and summon this. Gravity Controller helps get rid of this as well. So you make this up in the extra monster zone and Gravity Controller it away. You can also do that with Bow Baboon if you need to. This also gets rid of Bow Baboon, but this is an optional. If you find a better card to play, just play it. Cross Sheep's pretty good in this deck. It revives one from your grave for you. Even you can make all your opponent's monsters lose 700 if you choose to do so. We're playing one of the Link monster. You're not really going to go into it too much, but it's just nice to have. This guy's also pretty strong, as well as the Berserker 10. You just easy Link 3s for you to go to. I do believe this deck is pretty strong. It's a super fun deck to play. You can even splash in maybe Cosmo cards. I'd have to double check the rarities for them, but I know like a bunch of them are pretty low rarity. And for the last one, we have Magispector Magicians. It's an older deck too, which is why I'm happy we're able to play it now. So this is kind of like a mishmash. They did hit this deck funny enough because they knew it was going to be a monster. So if you're not familiar with how Magispector cards work, they're all really cute things, but they all share a common effect where they can't be targeted by your opponents or destroyed by their card effects, but they all do different shit. So first thing, Cat, it lets you search a Magispector card during the end phase if it's normal or special summon. Bunboku searches a Magispector monster on normal or special summon. Crow searches a spell. Kyubi the Fox searches a trap. Ogama sets one of them, like a spell or trap. Then we have Tempest, which is a counter trap that negates Inherit Summon. So it's basically Strike by attributing any wind spellcaster. So it doesn't have to be a Magispector monster, which is a really cool thing. Then we have Tornado, which tribute a wind spellcaster, banish a card or monster your opponent controls. Then we have Cyclone, tribute a wind monster, destroy a monster your opponent controls. Then we have the Majesty's Pegasus Field Spell. It's honestly crazy for this deck, and since Ogre and Ash don't exist, it's going to be really nice. So all Magispector monsters gain 300 attack and defense, which is a really good thing. But the reason why this card is so crazy is you can tribute any wind spellcaster. So, you know, for example, like if there's like a wind one, I guess we don't play the wind one, but this one. So you can tribute a wind spellcaster and then summon a level 4 lower Magispector monster from your deck, which nets you more cards. So you can tribute Oath Dragon or any of these, summon Bunboku searches a scale, etc., and things like that. And that's it for the Metaphor cards. Then we have the Magician cards. Playing one Dragon Pulse, so he lets you discard a card in. You can discard one Pendulum monster, then target a face-up monster in the field, destroy it. He does the same thing, but for spells and traps. We have Timebreaker Magician, which his big purpose really is you can. So when this card is Pendulum summoned from the hand and no other cards are Pendulum summoned at the same time, you can make this card's attack double. So he goes to 2800, and once per turn you can target one monster in the field, banish both this card and that until the end of until your next standby phase. And its Pendulum effect, each time the first Pendulum monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by card effect, it is not. We have this guy. Your opponent takes no battle damage from attacks involving him, but it's 500 attack, who gives a fuck. But once per turn you can target one face-up monster you control. This card's attack becomes equal to that monster's current attack, and in the Pendulum scale, you can target a face-up XYZ monster you control and one level 5 or higher monster you control, and they become equal, so it doesn't really become too relevant. But his scale becomes 4 if you wanted to. Then we have Harmonizing Magician. We all know what this card does, but just to quickly go over it. So when you Pendulum Summon it from hand, and it can't be Pendulum Summoned from the extra deck unfortunately, she brings out another Magician with her. So you can bring out Timebreaker, Jing Shang, even Dragon Pulse, things like that. And she's a tuner, so you can do Synchro plays, which is really nice. And Oath lets you add her back too. Her other effect is sometimes relevant, but all monsters you control gain 100 attack and defense for each face-up Magician Pendulum monster with different names in your extra deck. That doesn't come up too much, but it does come up. Then we have a Bisector Curtain Raiser. He's just a free summon, so if you control no monsters, just special summon him for free. Then we have Oddest Persona Dragon. So his monster effect is once per turn, quick effect. You can target one face-up monster in the field that was special summoned from the extra deck. It has its effects negated. And then its Pendulum effect is once per turn during the end phase, if your opponent activated a card or effect this turn that targeted one Odd Eyes Pendulum monster you control. Well, and no other cards. While this card is in your Pendulum Zone, special summon this card, and if you do, place one Odd Eyes Pendulum monster from your extra deck in your Pendulum Zone. It doesn't come up, but the first effect is really why we're playing this. He's just a strong, like, I guess, card to say. And then Oak Dragon, when he's no more special summon, you can target a Magician in your graveyard and put it to your hand. That doesn't matter. It's really its Pendulum effect that matters. So if you have a Magician card in your other Pendulum Zone, so ideally you have this guy as well as this guy in your Pendulum Zones, you can actually add a Magician or Odd Eyes Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, which lets you get more out. Summoners Art, same thing. You add a vanilla, so it lets you get this guy. So we have easier access to Mr. Dragon Pit himself. Magispector Magicians, all that good stuff. So we have Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, an Omni Negate, which is really nice for when we need it. Then we have Odd Eyes Meteor Burst, so when you special summon, you can target one monster in your Pendulum Zone, special summon it, also cannot attack for the rest of the turn. So if I have one of these guys, I can special summon it. If I have this, you know, it works out. He's also a 7, so it helps get taps a little quicker. Then we have Zeta. So it targets a special summon monster your opponent controls quick effect. That's in attack position, and banish both this monster and that, and then it comes back into standby. Then we have Enlightenment Paladin. So if he's synchro summoned using a Magician Pendulum monster as material, you can target any spell card in your grave and add it to your hand. And when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. Crazy. Then we have Supreme King Dragon. Clearwing. You need one tuner plus one non-tuner. Dark Pendulum synchro monsters. So if this card is synchro summoned, you can destroy all face-up monsters your opponent controls. That's broken enough. Once per turn, before damage calc, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can destroy that monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to a destroyed monster attack. And if this card is in your graveyard, you contribute 2 Supreme King monsters and summon this card. That's never really going to happen, but it's nice to know you have the option. Grand Pulse, generic spell or trap removal, bamboozling. So basically what happens is if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card. The activated effect becomes both players draw 1 card. Heartland Draco. For one, while you control a faceless spell, your opponent can't target it for attacks, and you can detach a material, and this card attacks your opponent directly, but other monsters cannot attack. So it lets you go for game easily. This is just a banish. This guy's pretty good, so it takes 2 level 4 Dark Pendulum monsters. So if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can detach 1 material from this card until the end of that turn, change the attack to 0, and if you do, this card gains that attack. Pretty good. Odd Eyes Vortex, Gravity Controller for the Odd Eyes Vortex, Frost Sheep, Geonet Transverser, basically swaps monsters that it points to, so if your opponent one has in the top right, and you have one in the bottom left, you can swap control, and Jacob Berserker 10. That's about it. If you guys did enjoy the video, go ahead and subscribe and support the channel, and if you don't, I'm telling my mom, and she's going to be really pissed at you. If you guys have any other decks you want me to cover, make, give you guys ideas for, go ahead and let me know in the comments section down below. See ya.